It's going to be interesting if there's any kind of clash of styles here out of these two Protoss players. We didn't see either. We saw Stats playing we saw Stats against Goblin earlier, so we'll see. I'm curious, obviously as a Zerg player, I don't exactly have too much familiarity with this matchup, so I'm curious to see, is it going to be different, a different look from these guys, or it's going to be a similar style? It's always fun to learn a little bit more about this fantastic game that we all love.
Definitely. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of a certain play style that our player here likes to flex in this matchup, but here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner. We have the Danish Protoss player representing Storm Gaming. It is MaxPax.
And in the bottom left, it's the blue Protoss from Twisted Minds. Classic.
And very quickly, before we get into this, if you're in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think is going to advance on into the grand finals. Will it be our European Protoss or the Korean Protoss player? It is up to you to place your bets and get your gamba going. I forgot to do predictions last series. I'm supposed to do it. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Pointed live VIP.
But here we go. We're loading into, for the first time tonight, Dynasty. Dynasty is our map of choice. And Ryan, as a Zerg player, do you have any thoughts on this map?
It's just a bit annoying.
Okay.
I don't hate it that much. I mean, I do veto it, but I think it is. It's just very hard because as Zerg player, you just can't really take the gold, and everyone gets it for free, and they get to abuse you over there, and it's just very annoying. So I think particularly against Terran, it's really hard. You have a more opportunity to meme against Protoss, which at least gives you some fun on this map. Ooh, Proxy Pylon.
Yes, so a couple of big things just happened here, because I agree, and the case is the same in PvP. You avoid the gold. You cannot take the gold base in a PvP because of how prevalent Stalkers and Adepts are. You'll be punished and you'll not be able to mine whatsoever. MaxPax did open up Gate Expand off of a single gas geyser, so very greedy. It was just straight up Gate into Nexus before second gas, before Cybercore. Classic scouted, and upon scouting the greed of MaxPax, one base all in. 2 gateways back at home, proxy across the map with a Robo. Now the game becomes, can MaxPax survive this, or can Classic punish the greed of our Danish Protoss?
Okay, so you have to think that MaxPax has something prepared for this kind of ability. He is dropping a shield battery, but I mean, if there's an Immortal getting chronoed out here shortly, a Stargate, is he gonna make a Void Ray or an Oracle to counterattack? I mean, don't like this for MaxPax at all.
I mean, he's a professional when it comes to defending in this situation, so this should be, we could go one of 2 ways. Oracle first, then Void Ray, or just straight into the Void Rays. As you mentioned, Void Rays, they play a key part in defending. There we go, Void Rays are on the way. Shield Batteries overcharge as well, but it is going to be a clutch defense. Now, we're going for a Warp Prism first. Interesting choice here by Classic. This does mean that he doesn't have to push towards the natural. It means that if he wanted to, he could even try to Elevator into the Pocket Base, for example, and bypass the defenses of MaxPax.
That would be really cool if he went for something like that. So he could possibly choose to delay a bit here, get the Wall Prism out, keep warping in Stalkers. I'm not sure that MaxPax has actually seen this proxy. Yeah, has he seen it? I mean, let's have a look.
Not quite.
He hasn't found it. He is looking around with the probe, so he is questioning. He knows there's no expansion, and if this Adept gets into the base, he'll... Okay, he sees a lot of Stalkers, and the Adept is in the base.
Yeah, the Adept does get in. The Adept does confirm that there's no expansion. We're going straight for the natural. We're not going towards that pocket. And there's one Void Ray, one Stalker to defend. There's barely any units here.
Forces out the battery overcharge, and so far so good for MaxPax, but there's going to be more Stalkers coming in, and I'm really worried about this idea that you mentioned of just bypassing the natural altogether and just going straight into main base.
Yeah, he's going
for the... if Class is going to go for something like
he's
that.
Going for the pylon as well, diverting here towards the Void Rays even. The first Void Ray is going to be shut down. The Voids are being pulled so far. Good juggling out of MaxPax. Does preserve his army, and the overcharge is on cooldown, as you mentioned. We could try to bust in once again. Oh, he's not stopping.
This is really scary for MaxPax. He's making Void Rays as fast as he can, but I mean, Zealots, Adepts, they're just not what he needs right now. He's got 3 shield batteries, but they're slowly being drained of energy.
Yeah, Classic is waiting at the Pulsar Beam. The Prismatic Alignment was activated. Now it runs out on the Void Rays. They're that much weaker, and now we can try to punish them as well. There are some shield batteries that are finishing up. Overcharge is almost about to come off of cooldown. It is off of cooldown, by the way, but the Nexus is getting very low.
I think the Nexus will go down here for sure. Another shield battery overcharge does go off, but it just doesn't look like MaxPax is getting close to getting enough to overwhelm this. It seems like Classic can just kind of keep making the same moves, slowly chipping away, and this base looks all but dead.
Yeah, I mean, it's 16 Stalkers. 16 Stalkers are 3 Void Rays. I know Void Rays are good. I know Overcharge is good, but now Overcharge has run out. We dive on the arm. We focus down one of the Void Rays. We get the second Void Ray as well. We did pick off a couple of Stalkers, but for the most part, Classic, he still has an overwhelming army.
Yeah, I mean, this just looks like a really nice reaction from Classic. And MaxPax is forced to tap out here in game 1.
GG, well played. Again, MaxPax, he is known for his greedy play in this matchup, but even then, even though he's known for greed, MaxPax went for the greediest build possible. He went for a straight-up gate expand. Usually he goes for at least a Cybercore first into Tech first with a second Gas Geyser, so this is like the greediest build you can go for in PvP, and Classic responded beautifully to that.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, decisive, strong play. It's hard to see exactly where MaxPax even went wrong necessarily. Like, if you're going to go for that kind of build and you can be reactively punished like that, not great. And I guess we'll see what he chooses to go for, if he sticks with that build, or he's going to play a little bit safer here in the second game of the series.
Yeah, the maps are so important as well when it comes to PvP. We're going to be loading into Side Delta as game number one, and one of the big features of Side Delta is a ramp at the natural. Because of this ramp, going for a greedy build like the one that MaxPax went for is a lot more viable on this map. It's even commonplace. It's a lot more common for both players to open up gate expand instead of 2 gate openers because of the defender's advantage, because of the high ground. So really, I'm looking at Classic. I'm looking to see if he opens up economically as well, or if he tries to all in on Side Delta, which is that much more difficult to pull off on.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense. And you know what else makes sense is our Danish Protoss player up in the top left of the map, representing Storm Gaming. It is MaxPax. He's the Max who packs.
He is. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player leading the series 1-0, representing Twisted Minds, going for the pylon on the low ground as both players are setting up for their expansions. It is Classic.
Okay, very similar builds to start us off here. Probe's gonna kiss in the middle of the map, perhaps.
Oh.
A little drive-by, a little high-five on the way through.
Yeah, unfortunately, no head move.
Okay, already a deviation though.
Yes.
A second gas out of MaxPax and only the one from Classic.
Yep.
So Classic is going to look to take the expansion a little bit faster. MaxPax instead choosing to delay it a little bit.
Yes, exactly. So the turns have tabled. Suddenly, Classic is going to be the more greedy player. Now we should be punishing this with the pylon blocks. Here we go. The probes are being active for both players, and we should be seeing pylons to force out Zealots to delay and to try to disrupt the opener of Classic as he's forced to take a gas.
Yeah, so both players kind of forced to sort of normalize a little bit onto the same kind of track. Although MaxPax does have a little bit more gas, so we will be seeing his tech building perhaps a little bit earlier. So we'll see as the Cybernetics core comes up what both players choose to go into. And still no Nexus able to go down yet.
Yeah, so this should be a Stargate from both players. And there we go, Stargate is thrown down. Now, I hope you're ready for the best part of PvP. Specifically, if we end up in a gate expand versus gate expand, it usually leads into Stargate versus Stargate, and because both players know what's going on, it should lead into Phoenix versus Phoenix, and this should be the beginning of Phoenix Wars.
So sick.
You like Phoenix Wars, don't you? Don't you, right? Yeah.
I love all wars, including Phoenix Wars. Any kind of war where it's just like, you know, we in a mirror matchup where you have a situation where what matters is just purely who has slightly more of one type of unit, and it doesn't really matter like the positioning or the micro or like the macro. Not what you want to see. So, the Phoenix Wars is what we're gonna have.
Yeah. I mean, this is what we see a lot of, specifically on Side Delta. We mentioned before, just because of the terrain, just because of the features of the map, it lends towards this sort of thing more often than not. There are sometimes some players that, you know, are chads and try to go into like a blink transition or something, but it's so difficult to do that. Like, it's so difficult to stop making Phoenixes in PvP, because if you stop, you can just die.
Right. Exactly right. And so, you know, there's been periods in the game where you've had sort of similar situations with Muta versus Muta in ZVZ. And yeah, I mean, both players are just they're just going to town on each other. Oh, the Adept picked up. Oh how's that fair? He was in the air, but he teleported over there. I mean, that's crazy.
That's cracked. He's cracked, puppy. Oh my god. The power of Adept as we do shade away. Second Stargate's in production. That's going to be for double Phoenix production, and we spoke about it. Sometimes some players try to
He's going
deviate
for
away.
the Chad maneuver.
He's doing it.
He's going for the blink. Literally the foreshadowing from Light VIP. We knew Classic. We knew he was a gamer. We knew he was an alpha in the way he plays, but we didn't think he would dare to go here. So, okay, so both players are kind of showing the different sort of paths, right? So Classic, he's going to try and play a little bit more defensive, possibly use shield batteries, I suppose, to try and mitigate his low Phoenix number, and then slowly get enough Stalkers out, eventually with Blink, and then he'll obviously have the faster transition to grab. Actually, no! It's DTs.
Hey, we thought he was an alpha. He's a Sigma, papi. Oh my god, going into a Dark Shrine, going for DTs. Crazy maneuver. Now, obviously there's no robot, there's no detection, but if we get eyes on this, if we scout this, we can get into Oracles. That is a possibility here for MaxPax. Adept gets shut down. Will MaxPax move out? Will he get eyes on this in time, though? That's the question.
I'm so nervous. This is such a risk from Classic. It's such a big risk. So MaxPax doesn't know. So in his head, it's very risky to just move out over there, because obviously the rally will mean that most likely Classic is going to have more Phoenix at home. Where is the Dark Shrine? Is it in the back of the natural here? Yeah. Okay. The Phoenixes, they're nearby. They're picking off some units. There is a pylon and a gateway on the top side of the map that's going to allow the fast warp in for the DTs. Behind this, MaxPax adding a fleet beacon. Going to add the Phoenix upgrade if he can. He's really committing for Phoenix Wars. Oh man, first Dark Templar.
You know what I love as well? The follow-up here is obviously the DTs, they can get a lot of economic damage done. If we can morph in some Archons in the follow-up as well for the main army, that's going to be insane as well, as Phoenixes can do nothing to them. But for now, DTs are waddling on in. The Phoenixes for Classic are out on the map as well. They're safe, and MaxPax doesn't know that there's nothing at home to defend. He could go in, he could annihilate a mineral line if he wanted to.
But I mean, there's no way to know, and the DTs are in. MaxPax still hasn't noticed. He's going to notice as soon as they hit, and GG, oh my god.
GG? GG gets caught. The invisible man gets in, and there is no answer. There is no response. GG. Classic will take the series 2-0.
That was so sick.
That was so tense, Papi. That was so tense.
But I was just like, oh my god, that was sick. maybe I'm kind of starting to like some PvP.
I'm telling you, it's always great, especially like MaxPax versus Classic or MaxPax versus Hero. Things get wild, right? Papi. Things get wild.
Exactly, I can see. Yeah, I really like that Classic, just making it so interesting. And I mean, a very kind of clear 2-0, but it felt very tense.
Yeah.
So impressive result from Classic, and he's going to climb the lookalike rankings from that, you'd think.
There you go.
He's actually had a great tournament. He's beaten MaxPax just now. Before that, it was Bjorn, Rex, and Cure on the way through his run here.
Yeah, pretty solid run here in the KungFu Cup. It always is, because how stacked the tournament is. And now we're all heading over to the Korean server for the grand finals. Again, quickly just touching on what we just saw. It was so risky for Classic to go for that, because again, he had nothing to defend. Like I think MaxPax had almost double the Phoenix count. If at any moment MaxPax dipped in, he would have gotten so much damage done himself. He would have overwhelmed. It would have been a completely different game. But as you mentioned, MaxPax, it's so risky to dip in like that. He had no sign, he had no tell that Classic was vulnerable. It was such a gamble that Classic went for, and it paid off.
I just can't believe that he just made a Dark Shrine. It's such a Sigma move, you're right. Like, he just was like, oh yes, we could just make Phoenixes all game? No. I'm gonna make a... do you think it was intentional to have his Phoenixes over on the left there? Like,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
so
I
that
think so.
so they wouldn't have a fight, I suppose?
Yeah, so they wouldn't die, because like, yeah, they would just die if Phoenix is engaged. So basically, if Solo had gone in sooner, then it would be his trigger to also go in and like start a base trade essentially, or like get some value with them, because they're basically just given up on the Phoenix Wars, right? Like, so yeah, crazy. But yeah, with that, we have our grand finals. We have Solar versus Classic in the grand finals. It's going to be a best of 5, the final series of the night. Another ZVP.